Alright guys, it's Skin. So, I got a little bit of a weird video, or at least a different video. I just wanted to give my thoughts on the recent sailing update in RuneScape. So it's been out, I guess, let's see, it came out November 19th. It's the 12th of December when I'm making this video. And I guess just to start it off, I was a huge sailing hater. In fact, I was really an any skill hater. It's kind of considered a bit boomerish, but I am one of the people that really likes 2007 Scape. I kind of like it the way it is, and I understand all of people's sentiments about it would be dead by now. I understand all of that, but I'm just saying I do like the game as it existed in that form. So, anyway, I was a huge sailing hater, thought it was lame, didn't really want any skill, so really I remember voting for the skill, and voting for sailing at the time, I don't know if people remember this, I remember it was a common sentiment at the time, but a lot of people voted for sailing more as a protest vote. You know, it was just kind of like, fuck a new skill. It'd be funny to vote for sailing. Anyway. So, we ended up getting sailing as the winning vote, and they began development of it. And to be honest with you, I still at that point really never thought that sailing would enter the game. And there's really no reason, there's really no good reason that I thought that. I guess it was kind of just copium. I thought that some Deus Ex moment would happen. You know, they would realize that it was just so trash, or the player base would be so up in arms that it just wouldn't happen. But generally speaking, I really don't know what the average player sentiment was, just because it seems like the narrative was pretty controlled. And really everyone was in their own bubble. If you're on X, I think that people that were in support of sailing tended to be in bubbles that were supporting of sailing. While I think that people that didn't like sailing were generally in a bubble surrounded by people that didn't like sailing. So it's really hard to gauge exactly what the average player sentiment was. But anyway, November came to pass and sailing came out regardless. And I guess, you know, initially, actually, anything new like that, it's fun. It's like if you remember like Day 1 World of Warcraft or even the re-release, it's always fun to be at those, you know, those, really even if you remember New World, if anyone played that, it's just really fun to play those games regardless of, I mean, even if they're trash, it's kind of fun to just be somewhere where everyone is kind of experiencing an event happening. It's just fun regardless. So in the first couple days of sailing, it was a lot of fun. Just seeing, you know, huge crowds of people all doing the same stuff. And, you know, as time went by, you kind of saw, like, different metas kind of arise, or at least different paths of least resistance in the training. Which basically was, you're either doing trials or you're doing salvaging. And, I guess personally, I did a little bit of everything right away. I think everyone does a little bit of the deliveries right away. You kind of have to. I went from the deliveries to the trials, and the first trial is really not bad, but it does get boring. Even while I was doing the trial, it was something that I could definitely not imagine myself doing all the way to 99. I couldn't do Sepulcher to 99, so that just wasn't going to happen. Anyway, so I ended up getting to sailing. It wasn't until I got started doing large, or unlocked large salvage, that I started doing sailing, and immediately started doing salvage once I unlocked large salvage, and immediately I could tell that it was going to be kind of nice. It's going to be kind of nice AFK XP. So I naturally gravitated to it, and I think everyone did. I think everyone kind of liked it, and you know, my thoughts on it were I was kind of happy as a sailing hater to have something like that in the game where it kind of was like, you know, I didn't really have to fully engage with the skill in a way that was so different than maybe any other kind of skilling in the game. And it was super AFK, whatever. And then they came out with the random update and really pissed everybody off because, you know, everyone kind of liked more or less the way it was. I mean, I think people had their criticisms and things that they wanted tweaked. But I think generally the way things were put together, people were happy with as far as the skill goes. You know, there were still people that weren't happy with the skill being in the game, and then, you know, you had the people that were happy that the skill was in the game and they were liking it, and both seemed to be relatively satisfied. So then it was like 2 weeks later, they came out with that little patch update that basically completely nuked salvage XP. I think it kind of it took a little bit away from trials, but that was generally still the meta. And then it boosted up the DoorDash delivery method. And naturally everyone was pissed off because, you know, people had to do methods that they didn't necessarily want to do. I think a lot of people liked the AFK methods, and it kind of sparked a new debate of, oh, you know, it's just too much AFK in the game. This isn't true to RuneScape. Where, from my perspective, that was the whole argument for sailing, was this isn't old school RuneScape anymore. So we're kind of beyond that, and I think if people like it, or at the very least people that hated it, the idea of sailing, weren't completely fuming because of it, why not? So yeah, it kind of sucked in the days following, just because, you know, I'm trying to max, and it was just more like, oh great, this is going to take me like 3 times as long now. But they ended up capitulating and kind of fixing the XP rates, and generally speaking, I'm actually pretty happy with where they're sitting at right now. I can't complain. I've had a lot of fun with the skill. It's been a nice change of pace from, you know, different activities that I have been doing, but I have filled my captain's log. I did the full exploration thing. I've done just a tad bit of everything involving sailing, and after a month's time, it really feels like I've kind of seen everything that the skill kind of has to offer, at least in this early rendition of it. And, you know, it's just basically salvaging, till 99. And I'm not really sure what comes after that, you know, if they'll add bosses or, you know, they'll add some type of incentive to actually go out there. But as it stands, I really don't see a point that I would go back out into the ocean once I was finished with it. Then as far as pet drop rates, I know there was some drama there, but I guess that didn't really apply to me. I guess I didn't really care about that. Personally, I feel scammed. I feel gang stalked with my drop rates when it comes to pets. I've been so dry for so long that I just don't even follow it. But I hope they fix it. I guess I didn't even look into that. All that being said, I guess my closing thoughts on it are that I think that the haters might have been a little bit overblown. I guess a lot remains to be seen if it will destroy the game or not, you know. Which if it does, you know, it had a pretty good run. And if it doesn't, that's good too. I don't think it was bad for them to go after, you know, something that was different than the same old, you know, PVM thing they've been going after for a while. But, you know, just from a total layman, Jagex, in my opinion, seems still scared to do cool things. You know, people will hate on me all the time for bringing up Castle Wars, or even if they want to change something or bring something back, bring back Fist of Gothics, or, you know, why isn't there any type of PvP sailing, whether it be combat, whether it even just be racing. And I know I'm sure there's netcode this and whatever, spaghetti code that. But, you know, they're willing to do this. They're never willing to do something that's, you know, PvP oriented, that's just fun. It's not competitive. You know, they could add cosmetic rewards, really do whatever, but they have just no really, like, screw around mini games. Everyone's always at work. Everyone's grinding. Everyone's doing PvM. Everyone's always doing something. No one's ever just screwing around. If people really need a carrot on a stick to screw around, just give them something. But, you know, a lot of those things I understand also need to be completely revamped in many cases. They need to be reapproached or whatever the case may be. It just seems that entire argument or that entire conversation is just one that's not really going on. But yeah, that's really all I had to say. I'm just kind of trying out a new video format with this commentary. I'm trying a new microphone out. If it sounds like total shit and you made it this far, go ahead and tell me that it sounds like shit. If it sounds good, let me know. I'd like to do more commentary videos or just thoughts and feelings on things, so if there's anything you could think of or would want to hear about, go ahead and tell me about it, and maybe I'll make a video about it. Otherwise, thank you. Deuces.